Sadhana Sadhana Sahaviyo Karavavai Ma Vidvishamahai Tejasvinavaditanastu Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. This is one of our celebrated eight chants, which in fact gives us a whole program, not only for life, but for occasions like this, where earnest minds meet for a particular purpose, to render it in English for the benefit of those who are not familiar with Sanskrit. May He protect us. Protect us not merely physically, but from all evil on the subtler levels, from negative vibrations, and from our own wrong movements. May He enjoy our labors. Here is the essence of what later developed into the Karma Yoga of the Gita. All our labors, our studies are intended so that the master of our being shall enjoy the pouring of our energies. We shall not work, we shall not study for our own primitive, selfish purpose, but in order to serve the Lord in whatever way we are fitted. So may He enjoy our labors. Let them be such that they carry our best of feelings, best of thoughts, best of physical exertions. And very important, may we not hate each other, because in a collective effort, there is always the human tendency for the clash of egos. We tend to forget the purpose for which we are assembled, and knowingly or unknowingly, we meet each other on the level of our ego, and there is a clash. And that leads to hatred, ill will, whether we express it or not. This is a vitiating factor. Whatever our expression or show of devotion, one vibration of this ego, resentment, hatred, ill will, that vitiates the whole procedure. So we should guard ourselves against the invasion of these animal movements, and only if we do that, days of labor become luminous. It is not enough that we work according to clock. Complete the labor. It is labor. It is not consecrated work. And when work is consecrated in the right spirit, with the right spirit of dedication, it acquires a luminosity, a light. And those rishis have had this perception to render our labors luminous. And added to these, they add the prayer, peace. But they are not content with praying for peace in an impersonal manner. Peace in the mind. The mind has to be peaceful in order to receive the guidance, the inspiration for right action. Peace in the emotions, so that you always have what Mother would call a benevolent attitude, flow of goodwill and peace in the body. From Mother's point of view, peace in the body is the most important, because ultimately we justify God in this physical existence by converting our bodies into conscious dwelling places for God. So peace in the body. So this is the framework in which we meet, in which we pray, in which we work. The theme that has been given to me is Sadhana. Everyone knows what is Sadhana, though I may sum up in a few words that Sadhana is a concentrated application of our energies for a particular purpose. It may be an intellectual pursuit, a physical objective, like a scientist working in a laboratory, or it may be a spiritual quest. That organized, one-pointed application of ourselves to achieve that objective is sadhana. We speak in a spiritual context for the moment, and as everyone knows, every spiritual line, every line of yoga has its own sadhana. And commonly enough, there are a good deal of things that are common. But the particular spiritual discipline to which we are committed, which we hope to practice, has a different type of sadhana. Whereas the common motive of the traditional disciplines is one of salvation, moksha, mergence in God, or mergence in a non-being like nirvana. The specific objective of our effort is not salvation, but fulfillment. It is not moksha but sampatti. And this fulfillment lies in perfection. Perfection at every level of our life, at every moment. It is a common notion that perfection is some high summit ideal to be reached one day. But it is not. Mother, with her usual perspicacity, points out that perfection is the maximum harmonization of all the elements present in a given situation. The maximum coordination and harmonization of all the forces, all the circumstances present at that moment. So it goes without saying that the perfection of today is different from the perfection of tomorrow. The world is involved in a changing, rapidly moving, evolutionary movement, and the ideal of perfection goes on changing. It is a measure of our sincerity, whether we make the best of each moment by marshalling all our energies, all our resources for a result at that period. That is perfection. And this perfection in Sri Aurobindo's and Mother's path is an integral perfection. We are not supposed to be concerned only with salvaging our soul, cutting across life and death, but giving due importance to all in our being that God has created. There has to be a systematic development of the different parts of our being. And as one achieves a certain forward movement, one constantly looks back, gathers the past, integrates it into the present, and then goes forward. It is a constant going forward and backward, not only forward. Ours is not a linear progress, but coming down and going up, ascent and descent, backward and forward. It's a constant labor, which is a 24-hour program. This is one side that is characteristic of our sadhana. Next, this sadhana is not only an individual effort. Most of the sadhanas are concerned with the individual. Here, the perspective is larger. It has a collective dimension, not the individual alone. The individual and the collective. Indeed, the key of the collective progress lies in the individual. The collectivity progresses only insofar as the constituent individuals do. And the crux of the whole movement is in the individual. But we have also to take into account that the individual does not live alone. He does not live in a vacuum. At every moment, he shares in the general life, not only of human beings, but of all orders of creation. There is a constant interchange, parasparam bhavayantaha, consciously or unconsciously. And it is expected of the individual that he not only shares, to use the expression very frequently used in our programs here, but also cares. You have to care for your neighbor, care for the world, contribute, not always overtly, but at every level of your being, psychologically, spiritually. One has to contribute, and the collectivity is a great help in a sadhana of this kind, which is centered around the development of consciousness, change of nature. If we are always confined to the individual progress, there is every danger of our living in a world of fantasy, imagining many things in our favor, of course, but the touchstone of how far we are sincere, how far we have traveled, lies in the environment in which we live. We have a collective life, a collective work, and it is there that we test whether we have really got over our egoistic preferences, likes and dislikes, whether we are simply trying to impose ourselves, our ideas and our notions and our concepts on others, or we try to create a field for everyone to express his personality, exert himself, and help each other. Communities, spiritual communities, like our ashram for instance, are created precisely for this purpose, where like-minded individuals can live sharing the same aspiration, open to the same grace in a physical form, and rubbing shoulders with others, learning to live together for God, learning to benefit from others' experience, others' wisdom, others' growth. We just do not live here. Life has a purpose, life has a meaning. We cannot afford to let go a day without looking into ourselves. Am I a better person tonight than what I was this morning? What are the contacts that I have done? What are the impacts that I have suffered? What is it that I have read and gained? How have I acquitted myself in the tests of life, small tests? You know how Mother says that the greatest tests, most important tests, are hidden in the most seeming simple circumstances. It is easy to pass difficult tests because you are prepared for it. But simple, everyday tests, hidden behind apparently insignificant circumstances, they are the ones, if you are observant, to study what has been your progress. And in this discipline of self-study, self-observation, meditation is a very important part of the general discipline. I have told often, whether here or elsewhere, I do not remember, how Sri Aurobindo was once asked, is it not enough that one works for the divine, one prays to the divine, one studies about the divine. Is it necessary to meditate, sit for meditation regularly? He said, yes, of course. Unless you have the habit of sitting for meditation quiet, and at certain periods being receptive, open, it is possible that when there is a descent, it finds you otherwise occupied and it just passes you by. So, it is necessary for everyone to, at any rate in our stage of development, it doesn't apply to yogis like the type of mother and so on, but for those of us who are still sadhaks, not siddhas, meditation is a must. Each one of us, this is a very important part of our discipline, and that is why I am dwelling upon it in the limited time at our disposal. Each one of us has to set apart a certain regular time for sitting quiet. Regular because from the occult point of view, if there is a cycle in things, big things and small things. And if you make a habit of sitting for study, sitting for prayer, sitting for meditation at a particular hour, there is always a helpful presence that waits for you at that time. And you have to respect that divine place. You have to meet at that every day. You have to sit. What do you do when we travel? People ask. What do you do if you are urgently called somewhere? Well, at that time, 7 o'clock say. 7 o'clock is rather too late. Let us say 5 o'clock in the morning. You mentally think of that. You transport yourself mentally to the time and place where you normally meditate. If you meditate near the Samadhi, for instance, doesn't matter if you are in Punjab or in Assam, you mentally project yourself near the Samadhi. And there is an automatic link that is formed. Because there is a living presence in the Samadhi that takes cognizance of every appeal, every call. Physical distance is no barrier, and you are linked to it. So a mental projection to that center, to that time, that does the trick. So you have to have a regular time, regular place if possible, because it creates a magnetic field where that peace or silence gathers. And if not you, anybody coming and sitting at that spot is bound to benefit. And having assembled these things, you have to prepare for meditation. If you just go and sit with folded legs, nothing is going to happen. The mind has to be prepared. The mind, a little earlier, the energies of the mind have to be slowed down. Emotions have to be told, not at this time, let us speak afterwards. Mentally you are prepared, come to the threshold, and then you sit for a while. I presume most of us sit, though there are others who have got different asanas, but at the moment, let us confine ourselves to those who normally sit down, whether it is on a raised seat or on a ground, that's another matter. Though I might make an observation that according to the yoga science, one should not sit on bare ground. Because the spiritual energy that is generated in austerity, that is sucked in by the earth, and you lose. That is why our ancients used to have deer skins and similar spread outs which are non-conductors, which preserve the heat. Incidentally, these fans, I wonder how many of you know that mother always objected to fans. Mother never allowed fans to work where she was sitting, though she allowed the rest of us whatever luxury we wanted. When some devotees wanted to install air conditioning, saying that she is perspiring, she first demurred. But then, as always she did, she yielded. But she said one condition: you can put your air conditioner, all right, but the windows must be open. And whether it was in the playground or upstairs, the windows were open, except when the rains came and the raindrops would touch our skin. Otherwise it was always open. Now here also, fans, air conditioning, they suck the heat from your body. We are not talking of physical heat or vital heat, but there is a kind of what is called yogic energism, the heat of tapasya, that has to be preserved. To excessive comfort, excessive luxury of air conditioning, fans all around, well, they are a minus factor. Well, to come back to the point, you prepare the mind, slow down your vibrations of heart and mind. You have a theme. You must have a theme. It is not enough just to sit with your eyes closed. Then things begin to rush faster than when your eyes are open. What do you want? What am I meditating for? The nature of my meditation depends upon what I want. Do I want to realize God as love, God as beauty, God as joy? Or do I want liberation from my ignorance and the falsehood of my nature to begin with? Accordingly, the meditation process has to be decided. Once you have that objective, you have that plan, and you work it out. If you want to realize the love aspect of mother, for instance, you think, what is love? What is mother's idea of love? She has always said, love is self-giving. And you love because you can't but love. Now, where do I stand in the whole picture? Do I give myself without calculation? Do I give myself to the divine even without a bargaining attitude? What are the things that mix up my emotions, feelings of love? Now, this kind of self-analysis, self-exploration, rejection of what is anti, acceptance of what is promotive, that has to be practiced. Periods of meditation are what are called peak periods, when you are spared distractions from elsewhere and you can devote yourself to the object in your front. Similarly, you want freedom from the compulsions of your inconvenient nature. We have to analyze where is the crux of the domination of nature over me. Where do I fail? Knowingly, where do I yield? This is another type of what is called analysis. That also is part of meditation. But everybody starts very well. Immediately there is an invasion of thoughts. People complain that our mind is not quiet, it is not silent. I have been doing for 10 years, I have been doing for 12 years and I have gained nothing. My mind is always restless, moving about. But please note that a quiet mind, a silent mind is the end product of a process. It does not take place immediately. Thoughts are always coming and going. You have to learn the art of not getting distracted by thoughts. Buddha said, don't fight with thoughts. A good thought or a bad thought or an indifferent thought, don't fight with it. Just leave it. You know what you want. Have your attention turned towards that. Ignore the thoughts. Leave them to play about on the periphery of your mind. But keep your attention fixed to what you want. It is a matter of discipline, effort, sincerity. Where there is sincerity, intensity of aspiration, there is an effortless concentration. I don't need to make a distinction for you between concentration and meditation. Concentration is what is called dharana in Patanjali's system, where you assemble all your faculties, energies of mind, energies of emotions, and bring them closer and closer, pratyahara, and fix them to one object, the picture of mother, figure of Sri Aurobindo, the picture, image of Sri Krishna with the flute, and suspend everything else. And you concentrate only upon that. Or you have a flame, an image of a flame before your eyes, at the tip of the nose, and you think of that. This is called ekagrata, concentration. But it is not a very natural condition. Very soon nature asserts itself, and there is distraction, there is dispersion, there is dissipation. Knowing that, Patanjali, the greatest master of the science of yoga, he provides for dhyana. That is, once having fixed your consciousness and energies on a particular object, physical or non-physical, you just release it. Relax. Let the mind flow like oil in a wick. Just flow and you watch. You follow the mind, working on the subject, working on the theme, pursuing the idea, dwelling upon the picture Krishna, not simply that picture, but his various doings, the qualities of Lord Krishna, all that. So there is a movement. In dhyana, meditation, there is a movement. In concentration, there is fixation. And this movement has to be in one direction. There is always a tendency to branch off and then recover. It happens to everybody. It is a universal phenomenon. And nobody need feel guilty about it. But the tact lies to recover the moment you find yourself having strayed, come back and without making a fuss of it, resume. This constant flow of consciousness, that is meditation. And the result of these meditations is that your consciousness learns to become one with the object of meditation. In the process, in a yoga like ours, there is always a response to your aspiration. There is a descent of grace, there is a descent of consciousness, arohana and avarohana, and at that time you have to only relax yourself. Don't ask, don't pray for anything, but just let yourself become an open vessel for what flows from above to fill. All that is required is a persistent, silent aspiration. Let it not be a very loud aspiration. And don't seek for experiences. It is a common pitfall of many young seekers. Want experience. I don't have experience. I have been meditating. I have been coming to your ashram for 20 years. But I have not seen lights. I have not seen gods and goddesses. What does it matter? After all, what you see is the result of your subtle senses. You do not need to that. What is important is a change in your nature and consciousness. And don't anticipate an experience. Mother puts it very pithily. She says, anticipation leads to imitation. The vital conjures up a precise vision of the type you expect. So, anticipation leads to imitation. Next, you must have intensity of aspiration, but not impatience. Impatience, there is always a hidden complaint against the divine. I am doing so much and you are not responding. There is all that old fiasco of the Vaishnava, excess of abhiman. Then I am doing so much and you are not responding. It is an exaggeration of a certain religious movement which has no place in our yoga. We should have, as Sri Aurobindo observed somewhere, an intensity of aspiration as if the goal has to be reached the next moment. And patience as if you have the whole eternity before you. And indeed, once you have shifted your position from the surface ego-desire complex and managed to get a foothold in your psychic station, the soul station, which is open to the intimations of immortality, eternity, time, death, don't matter at all. You live in eternity, and one life, two life, you don't care. Provided each life is spent in the service of the divine, for the divine. And that opens a perspective where you can relax, not be impatient, but work confidently that there is an eye that regards, there is a hand that is stretched out, there is a grace that flows around you whether you are conscious or not. These are some of the features of this sadhana. And in this sadhana, more is learned by experience than from books. Books are an aid. Books are a help. Work is a help. Work is an aid. But they can also be traps. Visions can be traps. In the Buddhist philosophy, later philosophy, They have a saying which has made a very deep impression on my mind, and that is, if you see Buddha killing,